Hey guys, what's up, and welcome to another episode of Fleeing Kingsmouth. This is episode 3 out of the series, and on this episode, we're going to be going out looking for supplies because the only thing that we have at the moment is a tub of ice cream that is in the fridge, and that's not even enough food to get us through the day. So we need to get a move on quickly and go find more food. Now, I've kind of scouted out an area for us to loot. It's a couple of stores that are just across the road from the harbor that we looted back on episode 2. And I'm going to be showing you here on the map where that is. And we're going to be heading over there here in just a little minute. And I'm not actually expecting a lot of zombies because we are still on the edge, the outskirts of the island. But we'll see how things are once we get over there. So here we are, we're just now arriving at the convenience store. We have to actually kill a couple of zombies on the way here. The first thing that we're going to see here is that we actually found a boat, which is actually really good because it's actually one of our escape routes out of city. This one in particular being the one that uses gasoline, which I talked about a little bit in the previous episode. Now, unfortunately, we do still not have the appropriate mechanic or electrical skill to hotwire it, and I don't even think we have the key to get in there yet, so we might actually have to end up forcing our way inside, which I believe in this mod requires us to have a crowbar. So that is now on the list of priorities. We need to find a crowbar to manage to get inside the boat. Now, there are actually a lot of zombies in the parking lot, and we're just going to kind of check out these cars as we kind of sneak through the parking lot. We don't want to draw the zombies in. As you can see, there's a little horde here of about 7 zombies. We will be pulling them little by little so that we can eliminate the horde. What I am a little bit worried about is the zombies that could potentially be behind the fence, just up to the top right of the screen. Since we can't see on the other side of it, there could be like a big horde or nothing at all, to be honest. So we are actually kind of keeping our distance from the wall while we fight these zombies. Now, something interesting about this parking lot that we found is that there's actually a lot of cars here. I think whenever we got here and we looked around, I think there was about maybe 3 or 4 cars. Plus the ones that we found in the harbor from last episode, so that makes about maybe 7 cars in total that we can actually work on our mechanic skill with. But we're going to hold off on that here until we actually find the mechanic book. I'm not actually sure, we might even have it back at the house. I haven't actually sorted through all the stuff we have, and I might be doing that later throughout the episode if I feel like it. But for now, we're going to focus on our objective of finding food. Now, this car had a bottle of beta blockers, which are actually pretty good. I don't think we're actually going to need them just yet, but once we start fighting bigger groups of zombies with either weapons, guns, or cars, or traps, or explosive, whatever we're using, it might actually be a good idea to have these on us. And I try to always have one because being panicked actually makes it pretty bad for fighting, so make sure you always got at least one on you. Now that we've looked through most of the cars, the exception being that white car on the top left there near the big horde of zombies across the road, the only thing that was actually useful for us so far was the beta blockers themselves. I believe there was a battery in the black broken down crash car next to the red car, and we might actually go back for that later once we start fixing vehicles. But for now, let's finish clearing out the parking lot of zombies. We're going to check out this red car here in a minute as well, and then we're actually going to start heading into the store buildings. Hopefully we'll find some food. I've never actually been here before, so I don't know what to expect besides the zombies. And apparently there's actually quite a couple of them. I'm not sure if they came out of the building or if there was a little horde there just on the edge. I couldn't really see them because the building was like rendered in with the rooftop. But anyway, we're just going to kind of slowly back away. We will be fighting them using our knife because it is the best weapon we have at the moment. We're going to be using the hunting knife first because it is worse than the Rambo knife from Brita's weapon pack. Hopefully it's enough to quickly deal with these zombies before any other one shows up. Now here, unfortunately, our hunting knife did actually break, but it's not such a big deal because one of the zombies in this horde that we're killing actually has another hunting knife on his back, which we're gonna surely pick up here once we kill these last 3 zombies. One thing we need to keep in mind is that we still don't have a lot of weapons back at the base, mostly knives. I think we had a sledgehammer, which we found at the harbor. But other than that, we actually don't have lots of weapons, so we do need to pick our fights and run from the fights that we can't take on. Not because we can't kill the zombies, but because our weapon reserve is pretty low at the moment. But anyway, we finished off the horde. I'm actually going to keep the knife because we found some duct tape earlier in one of the cars, which I took. And we might actually end up repairing that knife later down the road. But for now, let's check out this red car. It seems to be in some pretty good shape. The trunk is locked and so is the front seats. But let's have a quick peek under the hood to see how good this car is. Hopefully it's in very good condition, and ooh, it is. It actually is. It's at about 80% health, which is pretty good for a car in the settings that we're playing. And that all ties back down to us being able to hotwire cars, which we talked about a little bit earlier. You know, we're not actually going to start training mechanic until we read the mechanic book, and we're not going to start leveling up our electrical skill until we get the electrical book. Right, hopefully we find those today while we loot these buildings. But let's not get our hopes up, because apparently this is a cooking store, a bakery store actually. And these don't usually have any books in them, and usually, because we're playing on like 6 months into the future, most of the stuff is going to be rotten, as you can see here inside these shelves. Lucky for us though, we do actually find a little bit of food. We found a raspberry there, which we ate so that we don't starve, but we're going to need a lot more food than that. And so far, it's not looking too good here for us. I actually hear a zombie nearby. I thought it was behind me, but no, I think it's in this bathroom. Yeah, there it is. So we're going to go ahead and kill that. We're going to loot these bathrooms. Don't expect to find any food in here. Just having a quick peek in case we find some medical items, but you know, no luck. I think we will go check out the other one as well. I always check these bathroom stalls because sometimes there's a zombie in there, and they're usually just standing still. And whenever you do open the door, you like they'll lunge out at you. So they're like the sneaky type of zombies. You got to be careful with those. But anyway, that's both bathrooms looted. We didn't find anything useful. There was another beta block in there, but I don't want to over carry right now, right? We're looking for food, and I don't want to pick up stuff that's not associated to that. But here we are. We actually found a kitchen in the back, and let's see what we can find here. A cupcake, some pancakes, lots of rotten stuff as usual. Another cupcake, nice, not bad. Another raspberry shortbread, cool. Lots of rotten sandwiches, rotten bacon, lots of bad stuff. But there are actually some useful stuff here. This should get us at least through the day. Okay, this is enough food to get us to the end of the day. So what we need to do now is we need to use this food to find more food. And at the moment, that means that we need to check out the rest of this building. It's pretty big, so there might be more stuff. Anyway, I'm gonna have a quick peek outside just to make sure there's no zombies back here. And it seems clear, except there's like 4 or 5 zombies down the road towards the house. So we need to make sure that once we check those buildings, the store on that side, we're a little more quieter or sneakier so that they don't actually catch on and try to break down the doors. So that's the first store down. I believe there was 4 once we reached here and we had a look at the windows. So one of them was a bakery. This one, I can't see inside yet, but apparently, ooh, it's a clothing store. This is pretty good. I do actually like the police outfit that we have, but it does have a couple holes in it. So we might actually swap out some clothing here. And here we actually have a sweater, which we're gonna swap our hoodie for because our hoodie is actually slightly damaged. So there's no point continuing to wear it. And we don't actually have any knowledge or experience on how to fix clothing yet. So we're just gonna leave the hoodie there. Now going down the line here, there doesn't seem to be anything else, but there is actually a pair of denim jeans here at the end, which I almost didn't see. But I decided not to pick them up just yet because I like my police outfit. The police pants aren't actually too damaged. They're actually pristine, but they're not as warm, so I do keep those for now. Now what I do find here, which is interesting, is a diamond pattern sweater. And it's actually better than all the other sweaters, besides maybe the hoodie, because it gives you neck protection and the other normal hoodies don't. Other than that, there doesn't seem to be much here. Little do I know, I actually missed a door in the back of that. There's a whole room in the back, which I didn't notice until later. But we get pretty lucky here in this car. We found some carpentry books and some wooden glue. Other than that, there's nothing too great. So that's 2 stores down. We're gonna go check out the other one. This one actually has metal grates, which actually make it so the zombies can't break through the windows, only the doors. Now we got pretty lucky here. We found another Rambo knife, which is great for the weapon collection since we're actually missing a couple. And what we're gonna do before we actually go into the building is check out the mechanics on the boat. And it's not in the best of conditions. It's around 30%, but that's okay. As long as it gets us out of here, that's all that matters. So we're gonna go ahead and finish off the last zombie at the front of the, what I assume is a convenience store. At least that's what it looks like here, but the doors are locked. Now, we could lockpick it, but we actually don't know how to do that since we're not a burglar and we haven't read the magazine. So we're just gonna head back to the clothing store because I remembered that there was a zombie that we killed in there, which actually dropped a key. The one in the bakery didn't. So we're gonna head over to the clothing store. We're gonna pick up the key from this zombie and we're gonna use it to get into the apparently convenience store. Now here's a fun fact that some of you might not know, and this is one of the things you learned by playing the game over years, and that's the keys only drop when you kill a zombie inside of a building. So the way it actually works is that whenever you kill a zombie in a building, it'll drop a key for that building specifically. Now because this store, or these stores, are one big building, whenever I killed it in the clothing store, it actually dropped the key for all of them. So the key actually opens the door to the convenience store, which apparently is actually a pharmacy. We can't really tell it from the outside, but there's a whole bunch of medical items here. Now, because we're not actually looking for medical supplies just yet, I'm not going to pick them up because, as I said earlier, I don't want to overcarry. Now, here we actually find a good amount of food in these freezers, but we're not going to pick those up just yet. I want to make sure that it's safe to loot, which apparently it is. So what we're going to do here before we actually pick up any of this, there's actually a duffel bag in one of the zombies outside at the front. So we're actually going to go there and we'll pick it up. This one just here to the right. We're going to pick up this duffel bag and we're going to put all the food or items that we want to take with us back to the base inside of it. Now, I don't usually carry more than one backpack with me, but because the backpack that we have is also a duffel bag, it's actually pretty small. So we're going to be using this one to carry all the food, which in this case is a couple packs of soda. Now, soda in itself isn't that bad, but it's mostly a beverage, so it doesn't heal a lot of hunger. And what that means is that we're going to actually have to drink a lot of these bottles to actually fill up our hunger, so that we can continue searching for stuff today or tomorrow, whatever day it is we're going to be in, once we have to drink those. Now, I never actually knew how heavy these packs of bottle are. These are actually from a mod, by the way, these packs of soda like these. They don't spawn in the vanilla game, but they're so heavy that their backpack or duffel bag is already full. And what happens is that we can't actually pick up some of the food that we find, like this pack of chips or the soda. So what I do is I decide to put back the packs of sodas. We'll come back for these at some point in the future. But right now, we need to focus on stuff that will actually keep us from starving to death. But we've gotten pretty lucky so far. So what we're going to do next is we're going to head into the back. And if you listen carefully, you can actually hear that there's a zombie in one of these doors. So I decided to take it out before we actually proceed. But before doing that, I dropped the duffel bag just so that we're not overweight. And it's not actually in this room, which means it must be in this bathroom here. Which it is just a doctor zombie. So nothing too great here. That other room that we went in also seems to be part of the pharmacy, or the front part, or the back part. I'm not sure which side is the front and which side is the back at this point. And for some reason, I can't unlock this door, which is weird because we have the key. And there's a funny reason to why I can't open that door, and I'll show you here in a minute. But for now, let's just have a quick look here. We find some shotgun ammo and some pistol ammo, which we take. We're actually pretty bad at shooting still, but it's never a bad idea to pick those up. And here's another door that we can't actually open. And as I said earlier, I'm going to tell you why. The reason why we can't open those doors is because the key used to open those doors is actually my backpack, which I mistakenly placed in there. What I meant to do was actually put them in my key ring so that I could open up doors without any issues. Now, at this point, I hadn't really noticed it yet. So what I do is I go around to the other store, which we haven't looted yet, because I don't want to have to bust down those doors, which would cause noise and attract zombies. So we just go over to the last store, which we haven't looted yet. This is the final one. There is a total of 4 stores here. There is a clothing store, a bakery, a pharmacy, and this last one seems to be an office building. Now, you saw that I tried to open that last door, and this is where I kind of realized that the key was in the wrong spot, because I should have been able to open that front door. But because I couldn't, and I had the key, and I knew that I had the key, I realized that what the issue was. And we finally come back here and we actually open the door. We check the back real quick to make sure that there's no zombies here. I also open these up in case I have to run away or run through here sometime in the future. But right now, let's have a quick look at these fridges. They all seem to be pretty empty, but unfortunately, all the stuff that's in the back here seems to be pharmaceutical items, bandages, antidepressants, beta blockers, first aid kits, disinfectants. So I'm not going to pick any of this up just yet. We're just here for food, and that's what we're going to focus on. I don't think any of this stuff is going to go missing, even if we're using super survivors. But what I'm going to do here is I'm going to quickly update the map here, which I love using these maps, by the way, if you haven't realized yet. So here we go. I'm going to go ahead and place some icons on the map. And we're going to start off by putting exclamation mark on this building, because that means there's something here that's important. And I then realized that there's actually multiple stores inside this one building on the map. So what I do is I reopen the map and I put a couple X's next to the exclamation mark to indicate that the other stores are empty. So we're going to put 2 X's here. So the clothing store and the bakery are looted. And I thought about putting an X on the last room, but we hadn't actually looted it yet. So I leave that one empty. And what we're going to do here is we're going to move the exclamation mark a little bit to the side just so it looks nicer on the map. And we're going to move on. And we're going to check the last store here, which, as we saw earlier, seems to be some sort of an office building. Now we can actually get inside of it because we have the key in the right container, which is our key ring. But apparently there is actually much here. There is actually a magazine that we find here in one of these shelves, but it's one that we've already read, so we kind of just ignore it. Now, whenever we arrived here, there was actually a group of zombies here at the front of this building, but they eventually ended up going into the inside, which is why the windows are broken at the front. So we're gonna quickly dispatch these guys. They're all at the back doors here, towards the road, towards the harbor actually. So we're just gonna use the sneaking strategy, and we're gonna watch out for this hallway here because there could be more zombies. There actually isn't one. So now that we've pulled a couple, we're just gonna back up. We're gonna take care of these guys, then we'll take care of the 3 that are coming. And once those ones are dead, we're gonna sneak up to the ones at the door. Hopefully, if they haven't noticed us, we can actually do some quick executions. You know, whenever you sneak up behind them and you get that one instant kill attack. Now, we actually do end up leveling a skill here, but I'm actually not sure if it was maintenance or short blade, because it's been a while since I've checked my skills, so I'm actually not sure which one it was. But nonetheless, it's actually good that we've leveled up. Now, we actually got pretty lucky and none of these 3 zombies noticed us, so we can just quickly execute them, except this one does. And we get pretty lucky at pushing him away, but our knife gets stuck in its head, so we just pull it out. Now, because we have killed these zombies at the door, there is actually zombies on the other side that are aggroed to us, but I very sneakily kill this one without alerting the other ones outside. But unfortunately, our flashlight runs out of battery, so I quickly put in a new one so that we can have a look around. It is still nighttime, so you know we still have to use it. And unfortunately, a zombie did see us, but I think that was the last one. Hopefully. Now we could continue, but it is getting pretty late and we are running out of batteries. So what I decided to do here is we check out all these last couple of rooms, and if we get lucky and there are no zombies here anymore, we're actually gonna get some sleep here. And what that's gonna do is it's gonna allow us to turn off the flashlight and preserve the couple batteries that we have left in our backpack for some other time. So far so good, no zombies. This seems to be the room that they were stuck in because the door is broken. But everything seems to be safe now. I think we've eliminated the threat both inside and out the back. So as I said, we're gonna go into this last room here on the left and we're gonna get some sleep. Now, before I do that, I'm just gonna quickly check on the conditions of the chairs. Because if you didn't know, there's actually conditions to these things, like a bed will have good quality, whereas a chair will have bad. But unfortunately, both of them have bad. Anyway, we're going to quickly update our map, putting an X in the office building, meaning that there's nothing else here. I'm also going to quickly update a couple other stuff. We're going to remove these skulls here because there are no more zombies there, right? From the last episode, we killed all of those. And I'm going to put a couple X's down here at the bottom part of the harbor, because as I said on the last episode, I actually did loot these, right? The 3 at the bottom have been looted. The middle one is still questionable whether there's stuff in there. I haven't looted the entirety of it. I need to get the sledgehammer, but we'll come back for that later. Anyway, let's get some sleep, and I will see you guys in the morning. So it's the morning of the next day, and that means we don't have to use our flashlight anymore, so we can preserve our batteries. And what we're going to be doing on this day in particular is we're going to be going across the parking lot, because there is a building there that I want to check out. It is a potential store, but since I've never been there, I can't really say for sure. We have killed all the zombies that were here last night, so it should be pretty safe. I do think the zombies that were on the road are still there, so we need to be somewhat sneaky. And hopefully the doors aren't locked. That's what my biggest concern is if the doors are locked, because that would mean that we have to break the windows and remove the glass. But doing so would aggro these zombies that you can see right there, just out the front. Now, some of the windows are already broken, probably due to some zombies, so there could potentially be zombies in there. Well, we won't know until we actually get inside, though. So I'm just gonna quickly check this trash can for some lollipops or mint candy, but nothing in there. I'm gonna go here to the front and see if I can get inside. Now, I do think about maybe jumping in through the window because the doors are locked, but I reconsider because the chance of us getting hurt is extremely high. And if we get a piece of glass shard on one of our legs, we're going to be in a severely weakened state where we can't walk or run. Now, before we try to find a back door, which is what I'm going to be doing next, is I'm going to quickly kill the zombie because I don't like being followed by these guys, right? Especially since we're trying to be sneaky. Unfortunately, he doesn't seem to have anything that is of use to us, so we're just going to move on and hope that there's a back door here. Doesn't seem like it, but I do go to the other side just to make sure. And there actually is a door here, but unfortunately, as you'll see here, it is also locked. So the only option at this point is to go in through the front. There's actually another horde of zombies just to the left of the other one. And we're just gonna have to hope that removing the glass doesn't bring all these zombies here. We got pretty lucky. Only a couple of them actually hurt us from the group slightly more to the left. 2 or 3, it seems like 3 of them come in. It's not that bad. As long as we handle them rapidly and quietly, everything should be alright. So I'm gonna pull this one in here through the front door, or at least try to. Unfortunately, he falls outside, so we're gonna go out there and we're just gonna fight the second one and the third one inside the building. Although it seems like the third one lost interest, which is good for us. So let's have a quick look inside and see what we got. This seems to be some sort of a hair salon or barber shop. I can't really tell the difference in Project Zomboid. So it's basically useless for us. If we were an engineer, you know, profession, this would actually be like a treasure trove of explosives, because you can actually use the hairspray cans to make, I think they were pipe bombs, I think. But unfortunately, there is no vanilla way of learning how to make those. So for us, this building seems to be quite useless. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and we're going to loot the last room. It's just a bathroom, but as usual, there's nothing in there. And we're just gonna mark it on the map as looted so that we don't waste our time here in the future. And what we're gonna be doing next is I'm just gonna add a couple more markings to the map here to remember that the boats are here. There's actually 2 boats here in the parking lot. There's one in front of the pharmacy that we found earlier when we arrived, and there's actually one across the road, but I don't actually remember exactly where it is, so I'm gonna have to go out there and have a quick peek. Hopefully from the window of the store we can see it. That way we don't have to go outside and, you know, zigzag through zombies or anything to scout out the area. And as luck would have it, as soon as we reach the window and we have a quick look around, and there you have it, the boat's right there on the bottom left side of the screen. Unfortunately, the middle display bars are a little bit in the way, but we noticed the boat, so we can put the marking of where it is. Now, it is very dangerous going over there because of all the zombies, so we won't actually be able to inspect the boat to see how damaged it is. So we're just gonna leave that one there for now. Not that we can even use it anyway, right? So first we gotta get our skills up. And what we're gonna be doing now is we're gonna be heading to some empty houses to the south of the harbor, so I'll see you guys over there. Anyway, here we are. We're finally reaching the empty houses. It took us a little while to get here. Nothing interesting happening in the meantime. From point A to point B, we just killed a couple zombies. I think we looted an ambulance along the way, but we don't really need any medical supplies. And we're looting the first house here along the row of them. There was a for sale sign at the entrance, which leads me to believe that this house is, it's completely empty. There are actually containers here, which is kind of rare because usually houses that are for sale are completely empty, but this one seems to have furniture, but it's all empty, mostly. At least there's no zombies for us to have to fight, so that's a nice thing. Although the windows are broken, which makes me think there might be some zombies outside in the front yard. But yeah, so far so good. We managed to find some food up in the stores. This house seems to be empty, but I'm hoping the other ones aren't, because if things go down this way and if all of these houses are empty, we're gonna have some food issues here. But the amount of food we found so far should be enough to last us at least 2 days. So we got 2 days worth of food, in which we're gonna have to find more food and hopefully find some more books. We're gonna go ahead and mark the house here with an X, meaning that there's no more loot here to be had. And we're gonna move on to the next house. Hopefully it fares better than this one. Let's have a peek outside while we're out here. As I thought, there are actually a couple of zombies out in the front, but it doesn't seem to be anything too dangerous compared to the parking lot that we were at earlier, for example. The second house seems to be not too bad. There's actually a barbecue in the backyard with a gas cylinder, which we might actually take in the future if we find a welding rod and a welding mask. But for now, let's focus on the objective. Let's get inside this house. The first one, it was locked, but the second one seems to be open. And already this house seems better than the first one. The kitchen seemingly empty at first, but we do find some food here in this drawer. We found some oatmeal, chocolate, and some coffee, which we could actually turn into coffee in the future. The chocolate and the coffee aren't that important to us right now, but the can of oatmeal alone should give us enough food for like at least a day. So we now have food for about 3 days. Now that the kitchen's been looted, the only thing I'm really hoping for is to find a couple books throughout the house. And there's actually a bookcase right there in the corner, which we find some books. I'm actually not sure if we have these books, so I do kind of just take them all, honestly. At this point, we really can't be picky, and if we have extra inventory, I will take them, because books are that much worth it compared to other stuff like healing items. Anyway, let's move on to the second floor, and there doesn't seem to be much here. At least like the first house, there aren't any zombies in this one, so it's pretty easy to just kind of run through it really quickly. Now, something that has been bothering me for quite a little while is the fact that the backpack that we have is the same color as the background, the inventory, and it's really hard to see it sometimes. And we get lucky here and we find a green duffel bag, which I will actually swap to here in a minute. And I think I'll just leave the black duffel bag on the floor because I already have 2 now. And I usually don't even use multiple backpacks, but I need to have at least some sort of weapon in my hand, so there's no use in having 3 of them, 1 on my back and 1 on each hand. So I'll just be leaving that on the floor, and we're going to be moving on to the next house here in just a moment. And as per usual, I will be updating our map as soon as we get downstairs here. I will be putting a little X on this house so that we know we've been here and that we don't accidentally come here in the future hoping to find some loot. And we're now going to head over to the 3rd house. And we will be somewhat sneakier than before because there are actually a couple zombies at the front of the house on the road. So we don't want to aggro those. Plus, we don't know what's up ahead, so there could be zombies in the house. So we want to avoid as many zombies as possible. Now, right off the bat, we see that there's a couple zombies in the backyard. But there's also a fence here, which is just amazing for killing zombies. So I'm going to be using this fence to kill a couple of these zombies here using our lovely shoes. We're just going to slowly pull 1 at a time. There seems to be a group of 3 of them going into the house. And that's good for us because that lowers the amount of zombies we actually need to kill. I'm going to go ahead and pick off this single zombie here. This little straggler is what I call the zombies that are on their own. And as per the usual +1 rule of Project Zomboid, as we're fighting him, we get another one. It seems we've drawn the attention of somewhat of a small horde, but they're very spread apart. I wouldn't even call this a horde, to be honest, but just the fact that there's a couple of zombies put together in a small area, I guess you could maybe call it a tiny horde. Anyway, let's move into the house and see what we got in here. We know that there's at least 2 zombies in the house that just broke into the kitchen. You can see one of them in the living room up ahead. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna sneak into the kitchen. I'm trying to be careful here because there could be a zombie in a corner on the left or right of the window that I'm trying to go in. So what I do instead is I go around the corner of the house and check from a different angle to make sure that there's no zombies in here. And would you believe it, there is a zombie on the left. It is in a different room though, so it's not that big of a deal. So what we do here is I try to open the door, but unfortunately it's locked. So I try opening the window, but that breaks down as well, so we can't use that. And there's also a couple zombies just at the front of the house, so in order for us to avoid those, I decide to backtrack to the back of the house, and I will just ultimately go in through the kitchen window that we opened up here. Luckily for us, there aren't any zombies near us, so what we do first is we kill that zombie on the left here. Somehow it just knows we're here, even though we snuck into the room. Luckily, our fighting doesn't really attract too many zombies from the outside, but the ones in the house will most likely hear us, and lo and behold, there you go. There's the first one coming out of the woodworks right there. Now, we know there's at least 2 of them when they came in through the back window, and we know that there was one on the door on the side. So that means there's at least 2 more zombies in the house. We already killed 1, there's 2 left. Let's go ahead and finish these guys off, and we can start looting the house. Apparently 1 zombie did hear us from the front of the house, and it did come into the building, but it's not too many, so it's pretty easy for us to deal with it. We're going to go ahead and sneak over to the zombie at the back door, and we're going to go ahead and kill him. And just like that, the 3rd house is now nice and safe. We find some pretty good books. The most important one actually is the how to repair boats, so we can actually now do maintenance on boats. Obviously, we're still lacking the mechanical experience, but having the magazine is pretty useful. Anyway, now that we've killed all the threats in the house, we're going to go ahead and have a look at what's in here. Other than the books, we're expecting to find at least some food in the kitchen, but we actually end up getting pretty lucky and finding another bookcase right there with a couple books. Hopefully it's a couple books that we actually need and not just duplicates. But we do get pretty lucky in the kitchen drawer and we find a little bit of food. I'm not going to take the vinegar because we can't really use that just yet. We find some more chips and some wine, which is pretty good as well. Things are looking pretty good for us right now. I'd say right now we have food for about maybe 3 to 4 days, right? That's a good estimate considering all that we've found so far. So let's go ahead and head upstairs and see what we got here. Now at this point, it's about to be 3 p.m. in the game. And by the time we start heading back home, it will probably be nighttime. So I'm going to dismantle this radio to pick up an extra battery for later. And we're just going to drop the rest because none of it is actually useful for us at the moment. I would keep the light bulbs, but since we haven't even started working on cars yet, there really is no point. The only other thing you could use a light bulb for would be to attach them to lamps. But in order to do that, or even use that, we'd have to have electricity. And we don't even have a generator, or we don't even know how to use the generator yet. So there really is no point in keeping them, so we're just going to leave them behind. Now, we actually get pretty lucky and find a baseball bat, but I'm not going to pick it up just yet since we're focusing primarily on knives, and the baseball bat actually does some pretty low amounts of damage. Now, here's something interesting. We actually find a working walkie-talkie. It's a military one as well. So it has the emergency broadcast frequency, which we will be using in the future to see when storms and fog or whatever kind of problem Mother Nature might be throwing at us in the future. Now, I try to avoid being overweight here or stressed or panicked at all in the game at any time. So what I do here is I actually equip the radio on my belt, and then I equip the hunting knife on my hand. Basically, it's better for it to be on my belt than in my hands because that way I can have a melee weapon in my hand. Anyway, now that we're done here, go ahead and put an X, and we're going to head back home now, guys, and I'll see you there in a minute. So here we are, guys, finally back at the base, bringing back all the food and supplies that we found throughout today's episode. As usual, since I haven't sorted all the stuff yet on the floor, I'll probably be doing that later at some point. We're going to go and drop all the food that we found so far inside the fridge. That way we can easily count up how much food we have. We're going to get rid of that rotten stuff that's in the fridge. And we actually did have a little bit of bourbon and some white wine left over in the one of our cabinets, but that isn't really food now, is it? So we're going to go ahead and unpack all the packs that we found back in the pharmacy. The beer bottles, the soda packs, the pop bottles. We're going to drop all the cans of food that we found. And as you can see, we now have 30 units out of 40 units of food in the fridge, which, as I said earlier, should last us about maybe 3 to 4 days, hopefully, if we ration it out and find more food along the journey. Now I'm just going to go ahead and drop all the useless stuff that we found, the books, the damaged hunting knife, the extra Rambo knife, all the magazines. Go ahead and get rid of all of that. We're also going to drop that ammo that we found earlier, the shotgun and the 9mm, the comic book. We actually even had some spare food in my actual backpack, which we're going to go ahead and drop in the fridge as well. So now we have even more. Still don't think we have enough for 4 to 5 days. We're still in the 3 to 4 day range. And we're probably going to get hungry again by the next day in the game. What we're going to do now, though, is we're going to go ahead and read the magazines that we found. Those being the How to Repair Your Boat, an engineering magazine, and a Lane's Automobile. So now we know how to repair boats. We know how to make a couple engineering items, although they're mostly useless, and we know how to do maintenance on standard type of vehicles. And now that's all said and done, let's go ahead and head upstairs and get some sleep for the day, and that's going to be it for today, guys. Hope you enjoyed. Anyway, that's it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it, and also make sure to check out my Twitch channel for daily content. I stream almost every day, and I'll see you next time.